Hey everybody, welcome to Module 2. As promised, this will be a briefer video than the first one. So this week is where we really take the first step in emphasizing that writing is a process. And I know you have really heard that in every English class you've ever taken, but it can't be stressed too much because it really is the ultimate lesson for this course. Essentially, the entirely novel lesson is that the more effort you put into your writing, the better it will be. And we just refer to this idea as a process to help categorize what kinds of effort are needed at different stages. So right now, let's talk about that first stage. At the moment, we're pretty firmly in what is called pre-writing. So where should your efforts be focused right now? Well, last week, you settled on a tentative subject. And I just want to emphasize again, this is still tentative, all right? You are always free to change things up as we move along in this class. I've tried in week 1 to say how things can develop and change when you're working on a project. And I just want to let everybody know, again, you're not locked into anything. If you decide, again, particularly as we move into doing a little bit of research this week, if you decide that it's just not tenable what you wanted to do, if there's not enough out there on it and you want to move on to something else and you've got another idea, it's fine. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. All right. Just talk with me and we'll get you moving in a new direction. So don't get wound up. All right. So you got your tentative subject. The next step is to develop your ideas about that subject. And this includes doing several things. So what you'll want to do is map out the points that you think will make make out sorry. You want to map out the points that you will make to support your main message. That's what I wanted to say. All right. And that's, again, here's a good example of why, doing some practice would be good. But nevertheless, I got it out. All right. So make the point, try to figure out what points you're going to make to support your main message. This will help you refine and narrow that main message too, which is going to be an important part of moving forward. You'll want to begin research to find out what kinds of support are available for your project. And this is really important for everything having to do with academic writing, all right? Academic writing is all about you offering what you have to say in relation to what other experts have to say, all right? That you always have to establish that. The only way to do that is by telling your reader what are other experts saying. So you've got to know. So you want to get a feel right now. Again, you don't have to get really deep into it. You just want to get a feel for what's being said on the subject by others. Do a lot of people agree with you? That can be good, all right? Because that way they can line up as actual support directly for you. And you can just say, all right, so everybody knows that this is the way to do it, all right? Now, the problem with that is that if everybody already thinks that your way is the right way, then that sort of decreases the need for you to say anything, all right? What are you adding that's new and different? And that means that you'll have to tell people that, and you'll have to come up with something new and different that makes what you have to say significant. All right. Otherwise, it really doesn't need to be argued if everybody says it. So, and we always are aiming to make an argument. If there's no need for an argument, then that kind of undercuts it pretty badly. All right. Now, if everybody disagrees with what you're saying, well, that's good too, because that way it automatically shows that there's a need for you to make your argument. But at the same time, it's kind of bad because you do need some support to show why what you're saying is the right thing. And if everybody says you're wrong, that can be problematic for you to do. All right. So each way has its problems. So you need to start getting a feel for it. All right. You'll also want to start defining the audience that you're aiming to write for. All right. Again, this is another thing that comes up all the time in English classes, that we want to know your audience. And to start with, we're going to ask you to think about that very directly. When we get to the actual writing, this will get sort of submerged beneath everything, because it'll just be taken as as subtext for what you're doing. All right. But right now, we're asking you to sort of think about it overtly and to talk about it overtly. So it's really important because, different people, different audiences are going to want different things in relationship to what you've got to say. So you've got to figure out how is your audience going to resist what you've got to say? How do you respond to that? How do you get them on your side? So you want to ask questions. Who does the issue I'm writing about really impact? All right, figure that out. Who has the power to change this issue? All right, so again, you're going to be writing about making a difference, changing things up. So who can do that? Well, that might be the person that you need to write to. All right, and maybe you need to think about what would be the real world effect of the changes that you recommend. All right, so think backwards along those lines. So this week you'll put together considerations like these into a set of formal notes about the project you're writing. And this is to lay the groundwork for your coming paper. However, it is actually more like laying the groundwork for the groundwork, because if you look ahead into the next module, you'll see that what you're composing as notes in week 2 will be replicated and expanded into a formal writing plan in week 3. I mean, if you look at what's asked for in the writing plan for module 3, you'll see it's asking for pretty much the same thing as these notes in week 2. So we're asking you to essentially go into it in a kind of a casual way in week 2, and then to really kind of solidify where this is going in week 3. All right. So really, the reason that we're doing that is to stress how important this stage of the writing process is, this pre-writing. The more you consider what you do, the more sophisticated the result will be when you actually go to implement the writing project. And so we're asking you to, do these baby step processes for these first couple of weeks to get you into really thinking about the project before you do the project. All right. That's why we're taking the time to slowly build toward the coming project, having you think, take notes, and then think again as you conceive the shape that your paper will take when you write it. All right. As I've said before, if you need to get a hold of me, if you need to talk to me about anything, by all means do so. You know how to do it. All right. I've been in contact with several of students in the class, and I hope I've in the process of solving their issues. All right. Till next time, adios.